Right, good evening everyone. This is NZ Freedom Hub Radio on Wednesday the 1st of July 2026. Already we're into the 7th month. Can't believe it, but yeah, that's how quick things go. Or how time flies, I should say. So yesterday I published the fuel tanker numbers and the port delivery numbers from the past 2 years and 10 months. And yeah, I knew it was going to be high, but yeah, it was one of those things when you actually see it, you go, oh, this is shocking. And there's a lot to be read into this, and there's a lot of questions to be asked as well. Since the closure of Marsden Point, we went from, on average, around 35 large crude oil tankers coming into Marsden Point, from 35 a year to now we, in the first year, well, not the first year, from September 23 to August 24, we hit a number of 180 tankers coming in to distribute fuels around New Zealand. This is just the number of vessels that arrived here, okay, 180. So once you start to go into look at things a bit further than that, actually it gets a lot worse, but we'll get through that once we get into the questions there. So that's how the numbers started to look. 180 tankers. That's quite a number. I mean, you can see like how it's a seasonal. You know, when you start to see the numbers go up and down, climbing up and down, or is it just slack periods in shipping? Kind of questions you can look at and want to ask yourself. But we'll skip forward to 24-25, and yeah, peaks and troughs again. You know, there always seems to be these one or two dips that go down there. But we were total number for that whole year was 175 new vessels that arrived. Now, that is sort of kind of in line with what was actually said on an interview with Catherine Ryan on Radio New Zealand. Just before the plant shut down, that was the actual numbers that were quoted. I think it was Craig from Maritime New Zealand or Z Energy. I'm sure it was Craig that actually brought these numbers up. Anyway, so we went down to what they had actually predicted the number of tankers that we would have coming into New Zealand would be around 175, distributing fuels around the North and South Island. Was quite, when you consider that, it's quite a lot of travel, there's quite a lot of tankers and carbon, if you got to think of that as well, but that's going to come up later. So we'll just skip into the next photograph in here, the next image. So we'll go up to the current year of 25-26. As you can see, July and August is obviously not there. I did finish this off yesterday, the 30th of June. And he completed the distribution of the tanker numbers. So far, between September 25 and August 26, the total number of tankers just now is looking at 150. If we take on averages of past 2 years, we could probably stick another another 25 on top of that again. Probably, just you'd be safer at 24 just to make sure. But yeah, this is why again I had to do the fuel shipping every day for nearly 3 years. 1 year's not good. 2 years is no. Okay, it's better with 3. Then you can get back and have a look at what was going on. All right, but let's have a look at the distributions that were done from 23 to 24. Right, that is quite a figure. 448. Recorded moorings at each of the 10 ports around the North and South Island. That's quite a large number when you look at that, and that's what I recorded when a vessel arrives at Port Taranaki. It's recorded as moored, and it gets put on record. There's another one arriving at Nelson. It's recorded. It's moored. It's recorded. It's in the database. So this is where these numbers come in. Although you got 180 tankers coming in, but they're all going somewhere. Not on every occasion, but mostly, yes, they are going somewhere. And this is what happens. So fuel deliveries at ports September 2023 to August 24, the total number of moorings was 448. Now, you can sit down, you can relax, because the fuel deliveries at ports for September 2024 to 2025 was 432. Slightly better? No, not really. But again, you can look at it's kind of hard to say. It's not. These don't seem to be seasonal. You know, when you look at the rise and fall of these numbers, you know, November, December 42 and 43, down to 40 in January, February 33, and compare June, August 25 down to 30. Yeah, if we go to June this year, we're up to 40. So we've got 10 more port moorings, 10 more fuel delivery, well, 10 more deliveries at 10 different, well, 140 delivery at 10 different ports. You could see it whichever way you could. Anyway, I'll try not to get myself tongue-tied here. But yes, so far this year, we've had the total number of 364. No, which again will range, you know, we're probably going to be another 70 in there. It'll be near the 400 again, easy, by the time we get to the end of this recording period in August. That'll take me up to 3 years. So again, there's a lot of questions that came to mind straight away. So I looked at, you know, tanker numbers increased from 35 on average for the crude tankers to now we're averaging around, you know, which should work out around about 175. You know, that's quite a considerable leap when you think about, you know, we're supposed to be carbon emissions trading. I mean, these vessels coming from Singapore, where a majority of them do come from there, you're looking at 16 to 18 days travel. The vessels, and the majority of the vessels just now, have been, are coming in from South Korea. There you've got a 23 to 28 day travel. And you've got to take in that these vessels are chartered. Someone's paying for this, and they're not cheap to charter. You know, and look at the days, the amount of days these guys have got to travel. The ship's got to have fuel, and they have crew on board, and they've all got to get paid and fed as well. So you've got to look at the cost of that. The cost of shipping is incredible. So we're looking at 175 tankers burning heavy bunker fuel, or some sort of refined, maybe it's a low sulfur quality fuel. There are various types of fuel, but that's for another conversation. So the second point I've got there is the logistics of fuel distribution within New Zealand waters. You know, so that's to be taken into consideration as well. As I say, it's already mentioned, the increase of carbon emissions added to the number of New Zealand tankers in coastal waters. Again, you know, where is anybody's reply on this? Okay. Also, point 4 I've got there is the continued export of New Zealand's indigenous light sweet crude. Now, I have recorded this so many times over the past 3 years. I always record it when a vessel does actually come into the FPSO Raroa. That's the floating production storage operations in the South Taranaki Bight. They always need to register with the port, and they always register with Port Taranaki at New Plymouth. I always screenshot it. I've got records going back. And this New Zealand light sweet crude used to be refined through Marsden Point. Now, this was the backup that New Zealand had in the case of emergency. There was enough light sweet crude came out of Port Taranaki to keep 15% of their emergency transport on the road, as in fire brigade, police, ambulances, food trucking especially, and other, you know, emergency vehicles and equipment that was needed. So we actually lost that, and as I say, that fuel used to be used at Marsden Point. It was blended in with the heavier crude, you know, to make the petroleum products that we need. So we lost that, and although, I mean, now it's being sold off to Australia. It goes to Ampol Refinery in Brisbane, which has been well recorded in government documents as well that I have. So moving down, what else did we lose? So we've lost the ability, if we get out of spec fuels that come in from Singapore, Korea or elsewhere, we don't have the refinery to run these fuels back through our refinery to bring them up to specification again, and this has happened. Right, what else did we lose? We lost the employment and expertise from Marsden Point. Along with that, we lost the employment and training of the two coastal tankers, the Kokako and the Motuku, that used to deliver between them. They used to make between 75 to 100 fuel trips around New Zealand every year each. And now we've gone considerably, went through the roof with the amount of tankers we've got going around the country. And I got asked that question this morning, was why is this going on? Basically, because our smaller fuel tankers can actually be product specific, where, okay, we're bringing diesel only to certain ports, whereas the larger fuel tankers can carry up to 5 different fuels. Petroleum graded fuels, diesel, jet A1, avgas, heavy fuel oil, and that's just to name 5. Well, there's actually 7 in there altogether, and other oils as well. So it's a lot harder when you're asking one refinery operation to actually load your vessel with specific fuels for specific ports. The cost will go up. You know, it's not like going shopping. So what else happened? The loss of employment and training, as I say, from the two coastal tankers. Also, these tankers were actually used as a training ground, training vessels for young mariners who wanted to go into to work on larger maritime operations. They were used as a training ground, so they were really handy. And I do remember Craig from Maritime New Zealand saying they're actually still having a fight to save our tankers because of what the tankers stood for. So that's another little battle that's going on there. Not only that, the impact of New Zealand's fuel security was lost as well, and that was brought up by the document, the Securities Commission in New Zealand actually brought that up as well. That this is a national disaster. It should not be allowed to close down. That it's going to impact our actual security, because we're totally vulnerable, because of where we are in the world. We're at the bottom of the world, mate. You don't go any further. So again, next point coming up is the no ability to correct out of spec fuel, which we already basically did. Okay, what else did we lose? We lost the supply of fertilizer, CO2 and bitumen. So that was that was 3 products that were lost straight away. And I do have a government contract out there from GETS, and that was the government were advertising at the time for someone to come in with the ability to manufacture or make or do whatever and supply New Zealand with asphalt, as they call it. But right now we get asphalt as far away as the USA, and I have recorded this on many occasions. So that's another thing that's going on, and the quality as well, of course, has been brought up. So as I say, and again, we don't have the ability to process New Zealand's own crude in a shortage, like what we just went through. So we were at everybody's mercy, and that was it. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff went on there. So, but yeah, it is what it is for now. But there is another report that we're hoping to put through as a collective, and get this more brought to light. I've got one of our friends, one of our members, is working on the carbon emission scheme there. He's just found that our carbon emission footprint's just doubled or more since doing this. So it kind of made no sense in the government, saying talking to us about carbon when we're actually importing more and adding to a carbon footprint than what we were doing before. So that's going to come up. So anyway, I'll keep that short. So just wanted to record this and let you know what's going on there. So I'll just leave it at that. So I'll stop the recording and I'll come back to you, Cameron, if you've got any questions. So right, this has been New Zealand Freedom Hub Radio on Wednesday, the 1st of July, 2026. And I haven't got a clue what time it is. Oh, wait a minute, it's 7:15. So that's awesome. I forgot I've got a telephone there. It's got a time on it. So it's 7:15. So anyway, you'll hear from me again, and I will hear from you again. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.